Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to the SN Future one more training session. It's like a workshop and events. So this topic is related to the Airflow. So on this session, we're going to discuss about how to transfer the files in Airflow using the SFTP. It's something like we have a source and target. So we're going to move the files from source to target. So this session is going to guide you and explain you step by step how to automate the file transfers using SFTP process. Okay, now before going to this topic, let's start with the introduction. So what actually this you're going to discuss about this topic. So here we're going to discuss about like how to detect and transfer, process and upload the files using Airflow, which means there is no manual transfer. This is fully scheduled and automated way. So first, let's start about the introduction about Apache Airflow. Airflow is a scheduling tool to automate your jobs. So it is going to schedule and manage all your tasks. For example, this is mainly for the lift and shift of data movement from source to target. So you have a data in the source and you want to load that into a target on a regular basis. So do you require to load manual? No. We can easily automate. We have many tools in the market. Why we need to use Apache Airflow? So this is very easy way of organizing workflows. We can schedule jobs easily and we can monitor the jobs easily. So it means it is a centralized UI, centralized tool for all your scheduled jobs, monitoring, checking the logs, and we can create a jobs and everything in one UI. So this is giving a friendly environment to process all our internal tasks in a single step. So basically, there are many features we have, but in the going to the key features we have is following a DAG process, which is a directed acyclic graph. It's not something a looping on cyclic way. It is going to process step by step, which is a directed process. And we can check what are the dependencies we have, and we can schedule the each dependencies. Suppose I have one job, but the job is depending on the another job. Fine, we can schedule. It's not about like scheduling by time wise. It is about like scheduling by dependency also. And there are hundreds of operators are available in Airflow, which can help you easily integrate with the different source systems and different target systems. So yeah, on this session, we are going to see the SFTP operators. So you just imagine, you just think about Airflow. It's a smart assistant for your tasks at the right time. We don't require the human intervention like pushing the buttons. You just do only one time push a button. That's it and done. Everything is the automated way. Now, let's go with what is SFTP. SFTP is a very secured way of transferring data. When you are transferring a data on the network, it's very difficult to handle the data flow. You need to encrypt the data. To secure your data, we need to encrypt process. So Airflow is doing that with the support of this SFTP access. So this is a very reliable way to transfer your data from your source to target systems. And we can use this process when you're doing the SFTP process. We are doing the ETL data pipelines in the automation. We can do those things as well. So this means this is like a secured way of sending the data. So what are the main components of this SFTP? So basically, when you are transferring a data from source to target, first what you want to know, first your SFTP wants to know, is your data is ready in the source? Because it is not something like a scheduling on hourly or daily. If the source file is not ready, we are wasting resources, right? So one of the very beautiful feature, advanced feature we have is SFTP sensor. The name itself is saying sensor. It's keep on monitoring. When the file is ready, it is triggering automatically the job. So we have a schedulers out there to schedule the job, but there are some requirements where we don't know when your source will be ready. It may ready be in the morning or evening or night. We don't know. So there are number of operators, these type of operators like a sensor operators are going to help you. You just keep on monitoring your source folders. Whenever the file is ready, you just start the process. So SFTP sensor is the first operator, first feature, important key feature to do this whole process. Once the SFTP sensor detect the file, then the operator will trigger. Operator job is just to operate the process of lift and shift. Means go to source, get the data, and do it. While doing the process, do we have any transformations? Yes, I have some transformations. You want to add some data, or you want to do some data, or you want to filter? Yeah, we can use a Python operator to do those things. So this is like, as he clearly mentioned about the factory pipelines. Yes, that's a good word. Just imagine like it's a factory pipeline where we have a pipelines. So how the water or how the things are going on, same way here the data also will flow. Wherever you want to add or delete or do some filterings, you can do it. So in the whole process, we are checking if the file exists, then download it, process it, finally upload it. That's the way of SFTP process. So for in this whole process, as I discussed, step one, we will be define a DAG. Step two, create a sensor ready for the file availability check. Step three, use SFTP operator to load your data, to transfer your data. Step four, any transformations, any ETL, anything, you can do it directly. So it means it is not only for scheduling, it is not only for the batching, it is including a transformations. I can call this as ETL, extract, transform, and loading. But remember, don't, we will mainly on my side, I'll suggest don't use much transformations on the Airflow because it consumes a lot of resources. So if your requirement is about something, a lot of transformations, use Airflow as a lift and shift. And once your data is moved to target, you can do transformations. It depends upon like how you want. You want ETL or ELT. ETL means you're extracting and transforming and loading. Or you can use as ELT, which means extract and load using Airflow and transform using the your destination systems. Right. So this is about the process. So when you see this flow, this is the overall the flow. So we have a remote location, which is a source location. We have a source data, source machines. SFTP sensor task one is checking your data. And the Airflow, once it's checked, it will trigger the SFTP operator job. It is going to get your data from the source, and then it is going to process your data. And if you see clearly, I mentioned the Python operator, which means you SFTP job is just lift and shift. But if you have something, a requirement to do transformations, yeah, you have can use Python operator. If you want to apply some pandas transformations, yeah, you can do that. And then you can sync to the your destination path. That's what nothing but remote location. So this is the DAG. So running on the Airflow DAG, first we'll start the workflow. We will create a DAG, we'll trigger, we'll monitor the process, and we're going to handle all the errors. And then we will define how the scheduling process will work. Coming to the best practices, so it's always recommended to schedule DAG smartly, which is like unnecessary runs, avoid is not something like, okay, I scheduled every hour, the data is not ready. So we need to optimize efficiently by using the sensors, and you need to properly handle the errors in the Python operators, especially. You can use the try except blocks, and you can define. So you can always use the variables. Don't do any manual hard coding parts. So just use the variables and define the variable values. You can use it. So you can do that things as well. Where we use this type of operators. So you'll use mainly on the ETL pipelines, mainly we do data processing from your remote locations to target locations. And we'll use the SFTP process, and mainly when you want to schedule your daily reports or hourly reports or monthly reports, or whenever you want data is ready in the source, um, you want to trigger it, yes, you can use these type of sensors and operators. So that's what we have this introduction. And now the important part is we are going to deep in dive of this task with hands-on. So let's tune the next part of the practical, and please make sure that you can practice. I'm attaching the code in the repository and everything. So I request you go through practical. Practice is a very important. And if you have any questions here, we are here to help you anytime. So now let's deep and dive into the next part of this. The SFTP part, like is nothing but like we are doing the file transfer process, but on a secured way, we'll use SSH connectivity. How the SFTP is going to work? Like, is it a live connectivity systems? Is it continuously monitoring your source data, or is it some triggering has to require? Okay, if there is a DAG dependency, like last time we discussed DAG to DAG dependency, we can use data set and we can trigger. But at the first step, it needs to schedule or trigger automatically, right? I mean, schedule or trigger by source itself. Uh, so how it is going to work, that we need to see first. Um, like in the first session, we discussed about the sensor, right? So
Sensor, yes.
sensor. So sensors are is keep on monitoring when something comes. It is going to uh, trigger the event.
Normally, in real time, it will wait for the file to be available.
See, it depends. If you ask me, like some of my use cases is
Yeah.
continuously the job will be run and waiting for the source data. Once data is ready, it will trigger out immediately. Or
Oh,
we can go with the schedule based. There are two
schedule.
ways.
Okay.
So we can go with the two ways. One, let's say I have a source. Uh, so it doesn't matter, it's a Airflow or Kafka, whatever it is. This as end of the day is just a lift and shifting data. So you have two ways. In one is I'll put the suppose the folder name. Let's say I'll call my source data. I'll call suppose source data, the folder name. And I will ask the source data whenever the file comes, you just take the file immediately. Um, so it means Airflow is continuously monitoring the, and then when the file comes, it will go. Or the other approach is schedule based. Okay, I don't know when the file comes, maybe at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. or anything, but I'm going to schedule the job at suppose 1 a.m. I've scheduled the job. So if they schedule the job, then the job will run. It doesn't matter the file exists or not. The file exists, it will take it. If it is not exist, it will just run, and then it will throw the file is not available. So, but what if the file is available at 2 a.m.?
Okay.
Suppose if the file is available 2 a.m., but your job is scheduled already and executed already, so it has to wait until the next day.
Yeah.
So here, this total requirement. So we can ask the client, okay, how the requirement is. We worked on the both ways, to be honest. Most of the jobs will schedule because um, so as end of the day, it's a batch. Nobody expect immediate results. They're fine if it is sometimes, 1 day delay, half day delay, doesn't matter. So uh, we can schedule by default. But if there are some specific jobs, like, okay, when the file comes, I want to ingest because there are some other dependencies. I have some other dependencies for the job. In this scenario, we'll recommend go for the first option because they have other dependencies. So many tasks have dependency for these data sets. So in this scenario, you can do it. If you're doing only lift and shift, and the other side we don't have that high priority or something, then we can go for the second option. It's totally depends, like understanding the client requirement, how they are receiving a data. So we will see how they are receiving a data previously, like on a what basis, on what days, um, if it's a weekly job, daily job, monthly job. Suppose we have some jobs like weekly or monthly. In that case, we don't require go for sensor. There's wasting of resources. So we can just use any file, schedule some day and time. Even if it is delayed for a few hours, doesn't matter. So, I mean, this is totally need to uh, the client requirement that we need to clear. Okay.
Uh,
So what I mean is here, we are waiting for the input file in this situation. Now let's go for waiting for the input file. Um, as we are using the same process now, as we use SFTP, SFTP have a sensors. So we can use SFTP sensor. So this sensor is going to keep on monitoring the things, and when the data is ready in the source, it will catch immediately and then it will load to target. That's what SFTP sensor means. This SFTP sensor will trigger the event. Someone has to trigger their flow job. Either scheduling by time has to trigger or by sensor. So now we will see how this is going to uh, sensor is going to work. Um, let's see now. So now we're going to lift and shift. What is our use case is now? I'm going to take source data on from one machine, from the source machine, and then I will need to load to the target machine. This is what Airflow will do, right? Lift and shift. So in between, what I'm using is Airflow. Okay, how this Airflow is working. So now we're going to design the process. Let's design first, and then we'll implement step by step. Okay, what is the first one? First one is I'm creating here, I'm just creating here sensor, and I'm asking when you are sensoring the source data, you see something, a file coming, you just trigger Airflow job tag. Of course, this is the one of the task in the tag. Anyway, this is actually this task one. So what is checking? It's checking the source. That's it. If something comes, it is going to trigger the data, trigger the job. Okay. So we'll put the dependency, right? So task one. And what is the next task? So on the second task, I'm going to use download the file from where? From this is my remote location, right?
Yes. Okay.
So this is my remote location. So I think let me just put everything in a small box. This is outside. Even I'll call this one is outside.
Okay.
So now we have three machines totally here. One source, one airflow, one target. So end of the day, this is remote location. Even this one is a remote location.
Yeah.
As a point of airflow side. We think this is remote, this is remote. So, and I'm asking the first sensor one, hey, can you check the file is available in the source, right, in the remote location? Okay, so means the task two job is we're going to once the sensor trigger, it means something is available. I'm not sure. Something is available data. So it may be a correct data or failure, it doesn't matter. So I'm just, the job is just when you see data is here, you trigger. I'll give you the name of the file or the regular expression of the file, regex of the file. Okay, the file will come with the date underscore sales.csv or something. We'll use some naming convention. So based on your naming convention, it is going to trigger, right? So Ravi, this is totally your requirement. Hope you understand. This is totally your requirement.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So this is totally, we are working on the now SFTP, total whole
Yes.
process.
Yes.
So, but here we're taking a big scenario. Instead of we are taking as just one way, what we are doing is we are taking two different systems and using SFTP to we are just actually managing as a real DAG, sorry. So on the real time analytical DAG level. Okay, now with the Airflow comes, okay, Airflow will trigger my second task because I put the dependency. If the task one success, you go task two. So here, um, like if you schedule a job and the whole tag will start and or the task will start and fail you uh, if there is no data. But in this case, when data is ready, then the job will trigger. Simple, right? On the remote side, task two, what I need to give, I'll give remote location and I'll give my local path. What is the meaning of local path? Nothing but Airflow, right? So
Yeah.
because right now I'm in the Airflow cluster. So this is Airflow cluster. So I'm just asking, okay, in the task two, can you download a file? I'll call download task download file. So can you download a file from remote location to local path? Okay, fine. And what is the next step? And next step is I'm going to process the file. So I'm going to process the file. Let me take the same one. Process file. Like I have some requirement, I'm processing file. Like I'm doing some processing the file. Let's say. So once the file is landed, then where's the file? The local path. Taking from local path, which in the Airflow, nothing but I'm processing the file. So for the processing a file, I don't require use SFTP, right? So I'm processing data.
Yeah.
So what I can do, I can let me call. So let me define what operators I'm using. So here we'll use SFTP sensor. Okay, that's good. And Even I'm going to use here SFTP operator because this is the way it is going to download the file. But coming to the processing file is within a Airflow, means within a Python I can use. I can use Python operator. And now, but at the end of the day, what is my requirement is you take from the source, not keep in the Airflow, give to me to the target mission.
Yes, permission.
So now I'm going to create another task. I'll call this task as T3. And I'll task T4. In the T4, what I'm saying is I'm going to say we're going to. So in the first scenario, what we did, we get the data.
The sensor, yeah.
Now here we're going to put the data
A
from the
copy.
processor. Yeah. So we put the operation called put. So we're going to put the file. Yes. When we put the file in the T4, what is the local path and what is the remote path for the T4? So local path is always Airflow because I'm still in Airflow. If you see the box, the whole box belongs to Airflow. So I'm still in Airflow. So in the task 4, I'm going to use Airflow. I'm going to use the local path as Airflow, but I need to give to the remote, right? What is the remote path? Is nothing but your target location.
Destination.
You got it?
Yeah. Okay.
So local path is nothing but Airflow path. This remote I'll call this, I'll just specify source remote location, this one. And this remote path is nothing but target remote location. So this is the source remote location. This is target remote location. Um, so the requirement is just lift and shift, or you have some requirement to process. You know, when you're getting a data, you want to do some processing. Processing means you don't want to put any nulls, or you want to remove some. Even whatever the cleansing or transformations, like anything, if you have, we can apply as part of the processing. I'm using Python operator. If you see clearly, I'm using
Yes.
Python operator, so you can play with pandas, anything, and you can cleanse, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't have any requirement, that's fine. You can just move the file. You can copy the file directly. You can use it, or you can just read and write. So as part of the processing file now, we're just going to see read and write only. Read and write. Write a file. So in the whole process, I'm going to use now SSH, secure shell. Okay, now let's start practically. We will see as much as what we can complete today, maybe half, we'll see, and remaining this we'll see on the next section. We'll see based on the timing part. Okay, but first let's start the sensor and download. Then we'll see how the SFTP is working. So yeah, so this is we are getting a data from the source, copying into the Airflow, and from the Airflow we are moving the file to the task 4, to the remote location, which is target remote location. Okay, so this is the process. So do you understand the whole process, right? Do you have any query doubts? Please ask me.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
I
right.
got
Okay, that's good. Okay, now I'm going to start the new tag. SFTP source to target, let's say. .python file. Okay, now we'll see. So what is the first step? Is create a sensor, read the source data. Okay, coming to the source data. Okay, now in our requirement, okay, while doing this practical in my machine, we already discussed about how the SSH in the last session we discussed about the SSH connectivity. Okay, now let's see the steps first. First, SSH connectivity for source. So right now my source is my Mac, and we already did yesterday how the connectivity will work. So I can use it now, the connectivity directly. So it means my local location, whatever give my local path. I don't want confuse you. My local path means my Mac, my source, Mac laptop, Mac path. I can give any path because I have already granted the whole my system access. So I can read any folder. Normally in real time, they'll give you the location exactly. And of course, we'll put now in the code the exact location for reading a file. But what I mean is, as I've already granted the access to my mission, you can access the any folder. Okay, and this next one. First, SSH connectivity for source, right? Next, create a SFTP sensor, SFTP sensor check. Once sensor check is ready, and next you can do the download file task, and you can do the process file task, and then you can target upload to target location. Target file. Nothing bad. This is downloading means get. This is put. Okay, for this use case, these are all the 5 steps, the high level steps. Okay, now first let's see SSH connectivity for the source. So I think we created yesterday. Let me just check. We changed the version because of the flower, right? Okay. We discussed the flower right yesterday. Okay, fine. I'm just taking SSH default. I can go with the SFTP directly now. I don't need to actually, to be honest, I don't require SSH now because at the end of the day, I'm using the same connectivity. I'll call SFTP the connection. SFTP connection. SFTP connect. Or SFTP default. Yeah, let's go for default. Will not confuse the naming convention. Okay, the host name. What is the host name? Nothing but my IP address. If config. Yeah, so I'm just taking username here, Venkata. I have my system name. The password is my system password. Okay, just give it test. Okay, that's good. So now you see both the same process, SFTP or SSH, both are following the secure way of connectivity. So, of course, right now we use username password, but we will see later about how we can use the keys, private keys thing. But first we need to see how SFTP moving the data. First that one. And later we can integrate so many things. We can integrate about the file transfer, security keys, and we can do the file encryption, decryption, like those things. We can add, and those actually depends upon infosec requirements. In infosec team requirements. It depends upon the client. It will change. Okay, yeah. So let's save this one. So we tested and the consider success. Let me go to the save. Okay, and I'm going to use now SFTP default connectivity. So if you can, let me just use Single SSH. Okay, I'm using just this directly into here. So Now we are going to using the SFTP, right? SFTP, SFTP, SFTP operator. Okay, and I'm going to use the sensor also, sensors, because we are using sensors. Sensors. SFTP sensor, I can just use right. I think that's it. That's enough we have for now.
Okay.
And now I'm going to start with the DAG. Let me just use these properties. So default, yeah, all these things is fine. And the SFTP with the DAG. I can change this to SFTP source to target. Okay. And what about start date? Yeah, I think this is fine. We'll say end of the it's all default one, so it's not matter. Yeah, now let's start. What is the first task we are planning? About, let me delete this, we don't require this. So yeah, the DAG started. Now let's start first task. What is the first task? Is
Connect to the
sensor.
remote sensor.
Yeah,
T1.
yeah. First, you connect to the remote location and integrate the sensor connectivity first. So how we are connecting this SFTP sensor to remote location by using the SSH connectivity, which is nothing but SFTP connectivity. So we have already created SFTP. Now I'm going to create a, suppose, let's say, um, check file, source file check. So I'm just giving the name. So, okay, so in this, what I'm going to do, so this is a task, right? So in this task, I'm going to create the sensors. Here we have used SFTP sensor. Okay, perfect. And now just give some ID, task ID, so that I'll just give the same one. Okay, the task ID. And what is the connection? SFTP connection. Connection equal to connection ID. This one, right? SFTP default. Okay. Now I'm connecting my system. But in your system, where is your data? What data you want to connect? So basically, if you see I'm just going to, this is my end of this my system. This is not my Docker. This is my local folder system, right? This is one. So let me take input output. Suppose input output file systems. Okay, let me delete this. Let me delete this one also. I don't require it. Unnecessary files. Okay, I'm just taking input file. I have two folders. So I think last time we used these files. So I have an input file in the input folder. I have empty in the output folder. Instead of calling this input output, let me call sender. I don't like source. I'll call source.
Okay.
And I'll call target. So now let's treat let's treat this is one of my remote location. This is my another remote location. At the end of the day, of course, I'm working now. My machine is the remote location because Docker is creating from Docker, everything is remote location at the end. So right now, if it is not remote location, then it's not required to give this connectivity. Now in my system, Docker is outside. So Docker don't know my local file system. But now I have integrated. So now it means this SFTP plugin is going to connect the both ways. So means this is my source connection and this is my target connection. Okay. So in real time, what will happen? They'll do the two connections, one source, one target, and then they can give the connection details. Okay, that's the only difference. But yeah, end of the day, it's the same process. Only you change the connection name here. Now, suppose here we can use some source connection. In the second function, in other function, other task, you give the target connection. That's it. Okay. Um, I'm going to take a path. What is my data path? Okay, now what I'm saying is, let's take this path, copy path. Okay, so I'm just taking users, Venkata, desktop, Airflow, Docker, data. This is my location. So I'm asking to read this data. If suppose there is some naming convention, let's say some date, something, some variable dates we can define, or you'll get a file every day with some format. Like you can put the star input.csv. For example, I'll get something like today's date, suppose 20 September 2009 2024, something like this, let's say. So you'll get every day one file. So instead of giving a static file, you can use put the star, you'll get dynamic files. It can read every day the same file. It can read the files with this with the star means you can consider
Welcome to
any
your
file. Yeah, so this is like a regular expression things, like you can use it when you're reading your data. If it's a one time, yes, you can just define directly the name of your actual file. If it is a regular schedulings, it's better always give some regex rotations based on how your data receiving by versions, by dates. You will understand what is the naming conventions. Okay, so now, so but you need to wait for the job, right? So sometimes what type of the interval you have, like how many seconds I can wait. So the sensor is keep on running, let's say, but when you trigger, I mean, it depends, when it depends upon when you're scheduling the timings or something. You can give the more time or you can give some less time. For example, there is a property in this we have called poke interval. Poke interval. Interval. So this poke interval is nothing but, so this is like a one condition we are defining. Um, so it will give like a number of consecutive pokes. So if you suppose if you set 60 seconds, so this sensor will keep on check every 60 seconds. It will check. Okay, it will check every 60 seconds. So it means it will stop 60 seconds. Like every 60 seconds, the job will trigger. It may take 1-2 seconds, and it will wait for the next seconds. And every 60 seconds, the job can trigger. So like this, the poke interval is very important. So now I'm asking the SFTP sensor, hey, can you use the 10 seconds? Like it means every 10 seconds, it will check until you'll get any timeout errors or something. This is going to check. Okay, now this is the way it is going to check. If it is success, you receive a data. then you see the color called green. If it is running, you have green, the light green. If it is success, you see dark green, right? So,
Yeah,
for
definitely.
example, yeah, let me just yeah, Mr. Kama here. Okay, okay. You let's verify this one. First, we'll see. This is the task one. Okay, I'm going to call here. Of course, it's one task. It's not required to define, but let's define. Okay, receive. Yeah, now we got it. SFTP source to target.
Yes.
Let me just put the switch on mode. Okay, now go to the graph. So source file check, still not started. Now I'm triggering the job. So now if you see, it is going to check and then it is going to see we got the green, right? So dark green means success. Light green means
Yes.
running. Let's see the log. So dependencies all met. Yes. A job started. Okay. SFTP check all the parameters. So picked user connection ID for task execution. Okay. No host key verification. Yes, of course. I have not mentioned anything, any key verification. I just log into username password, so it's fine. Authentication via passport successful. Okay. Opened SFTP connection. Okay. SFTP
Okay.
connection is opened and found file. Found file. So so this is the path I have given, right? So
Yes.
it's saying
Absolutely.
the file is last modified and SFTP section closed because I'm not asking anything on this task. I'm just asking just if the file found, you trigger success criteria met, exiting and marking task as success. And once it is marked as task as success, automatically the dependency task will trigger second task.
O- Okay.
So if suppose I don't have data here, let's say for example, okay, I'm just moving this to the target for now. Let's say just moving. So in the source, I don't have any file.
Okay.
See what will happen. Now the job will not fail for few seconds. The job
Wait
will
for 10
refresh.
seconds. Hmm.
Yeah, it will wait. Okay, see this one, right? So
Light
see,
green. Yeah.
it's light green. It's running. It's running, and if you see, it shows the log. Every 10 seconds, this loop will repeat. See
Okay.
now, you will get the same log every 10 seconds. What is the log? It will check. Okay, okay. See here, the log repeated. So what is saying? The connection is verified, poking, connected, authentication. But see again repeated. See means it's keep every 10 seconds. It is verifying the connection as data is not available. It's keep on running. This is the job of sensor. So
So,
if suppose now I load the file in real time, this is what will happen. So suppose I just okay, let's not copy, is cut this target location. I just cut the data and the source. I'm just going to paste. And when I give the file, now see the job will success. So now it's authentication happened. Now see, yeah. Now authentication is done. Opened SFTP, found file.
yeah. Okay.
So until that, all these locks keep on repeating because the file is not found. So this is a sensor job. So when someone asks about not only for SFTP, if anything jobs, if anyone asks, can we connect to the source? Yeah, yeah, we can. We have two things always: one sensor, one operator. Sensor is keep on tracking the availability. Operator is going to execute once the sensor trigger the data availability. So
Okay. Yes.
okay, yeah. So this is SFTP sensor. the connectivity. Uh, okay, right.
So if there
So
is
now,
no file found, then it will keep checking for every
yeah,
10 seconds.
it will keep on checking. So the one of the problem with this, it will consume the resources continuously.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
uh,
Yeah.
if your requirement is yes, you need data. When data comes, you need to when data comes, you need to load immediately. Then you can use it. Then this is what the machines we have. We can use it as requirement. If suppose it's fine, you don't have requirement, you just want to schedule. You don't require this process if you want to schedule. mm, uh, Even if your data is not received, or if data is received after you trigger scheduled, it's okay for until wait for next day or next week. Um, like those type of requirements, you can wait it. I don't call
Mm.
this as a real time streaming, but of course it's a real time level ingestion. I'll call near real time ingestion because when data comes, it is going directly immediately. There's no waiting. Hmm.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So like this, you can, uh, and you can define the maximum timeout also. For example, once you triggered your job, you don't want to put this. Um, so you don't want to define suppose continuously running. You just want some timeout. Don't want to repeat the
Or yeah,
same thing.
like every 1 hour you can check like that.
Yeah, so that we can, yes. Let me just view this again. So you don't want to do the suppose suppose I'm just saying, so we put the 10 seconds, right? So suppose I'm just saying we just time out for suppose I put 60 seconds, let's say. Let me put 100 seconds, suppose.
Okay.
So timeout. So this is actually maximum waiting time. The
100
maximum waiting
seconds.
time. Yeah, 100 seconds. So now see what will happen. So if I put the poke interval every 10 seconds, what happening? It is like continuously running every 10 seconds and triggering the every event for every 10 seconds. But even that I have to put some limit, right? So what I can do is now just define. Okay, let me trigger now. Oh, sorry, now the file is available, right? It will be success. Let me move the file to target again. Okay, I don't have any file. Okay, let me trigger again. It's success within a second. I'm just targeting. Okay, now this one, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now if you see the log, yes, authentication success, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Forty seconds, maybe more. So at the 100 seconds time, you'll waiting time will finish. No data, and this is keep on checking, and there is a time limit within 100 seconds. The file has to come based on my schedule, but the file has not uh, received that. So I can see number of times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think now the last one. So 10. 10 times completed.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Did I put 100? Yeah, see no job field.
Oh, okay.
So after the 100 seconds, sensor has timed out. Run duration of 104 seconds. Exceeded the specified timeout of 100. I put the 100. So it exceeded. Immediate failure request marking task as failure. So now the task is failure status. So like this. So like this you can define. So the minimum maximum time. If you see the job, you'll see red, right? Because you say failure.
Yes, okay.
Failure issues. Yeah. So like this you can integrate this sensor part. And the next part is okay. Now this is done. Um, okay, so this is completed. Now the next one is sorry, this one also we have completed. Okay, so now the file is ready and the file triggered the sensor. Sensor is success. What is the second task? So you need to uh, you need to get your data. You need to get because this is not loading anything. This is not taking ready, just only checking the location. Um, so but now we need to trigger, right? So for triggering, what is the remote location? We have already given the remote location here. Nothing but this one is fine. What is the local path? Airflow means I can give airflow path. What is our airflow path? So we discussed about last time OPT airflow location, right? If I go with the worker node, so I can check it. CD. What is the path? OPT airflow. So yeah, I can give this as a local path. And remote path, I can give this source, and then we can download the file. So and we can use the SSH connectivity. Okay, let's see this quickly. So I'm using same. Actually, let me because this is sensor, right? Now what we need to do is the operator. Uh, but I can change directly. What I'm saying, get file, get data. Let's say. So what is SFTP? Not sensor, right? Operator, right? Because the data now we are pulling actual data. So I'm calling task ID as a get data. Connection ID is same, right? Connection ID is same.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So every time we have defined the connection because now this is source and we have other operator which is target. Maybe you have some other operator for the intermediate storage. You can put anywhere, right? So
Okay. Yes.
as long as you define number of connections, you can just use it. So that should be fine. Right now, we are using my machine as a source and target. So that's why I'm using the same connection ID. If it's a different ID, we can change a different ID. Okay, now uh, what is our next step is? So you just define what is your remote path. So remote file path equal to what is the remote file path?
The
And
so target direction, right?
no, yeah, I mean, what is the remote file path? So now I'm here, right?
Okay.
So this remote is nothing but the source remote. So this is remote. Now I'm not working on the target one. Actually there's other task. Now I'm still in the second task. Second task job is reading a data, means get data.
Okay. Get it.
Actually here we are getting. Here we are doing only checking.
Connection management.
Yeah. So get data from the source. Source is your remote. Target is your local, right? So now I'm copying from the source machine. I'm copying into so now this sensor is checking, but this SFTP downloading task is going to get from your remote location copy to your local path, which is nothing but Airflow path, which is nothing but OPT Airflow path. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
let's see now. Yeah, for remote file path is nothing but actually the source location. Okay, now the file is in the target. Okay, now nothing but this path. I'm just copying path. Okay, right. As we have already defined the connection, same connection, SFTP operator can go and get the remote file path and where you want to copy. Okay, so I want to copy to my local path, which is nothing but OPT Airflow. So here,
Okay. Okay.
present working directory, OPT Airflow, yes. So I'll just say OPT Airflow. Okay, and what is the name you want? I want to same name, input.csv, but you know, if you give the same name again, this is like a running first time. When you're running a first time, it should be fine. You'll get data. What about running second time? The file is already exist. So it'll be confusion.
Yes.
It be confusion like which file, everything. So that's why you can use the variables on the Airflow variable, which is called a run ID. This is nothing but every run, Airflow will give one ID to the job. So this is nothing but like a time, your job running time ID, nothing but. So means every time when you trigger the job, the SFTP operator will create a separate directory for every run. So based on that, I can check, okay, what is the latest run? What is the oldest run? Suppose your client is loading the file, the source suppose every time, every 20 minutes or every 1 hour. So at the end of the day, how many files you have in a day? 24 files. So
Yeah.
if you do overwrite, it is a problem. You can't get the
Yes.
old data, it'll lose. So, but if you want to keep a history of everything, you can just give the run ID, it's a variable of Airflow. Every DAG run, it will give the one ID. Okay. So like this, you can use this one. And actually what I want to do, I said get, right? Operation get. SFTP operation, nothing but SFTP operation is get. And but we need to give the permissions to create a directories because this is a directory, right? Run ID is a directory. It is going to create as a directory now based on the timestamp. So
Okay.
now I'm going to define, okay, I'm allowing this SFTP operator to create intermediate directories. Okay. So now this is the first check, which is sensor, right? And what is second check, which is get data. Okay. Now I am in the OPT Airflow. Do we have any input folder? Yes, but ignore that because input file, we need to get run ID,
Yes.
input.csv. Because this input is actually mounting from our systems, right? Yeah. Okay. Mm, yeah, I'm going to DAG now. Open the DAG. Refresh. I think we have error. What is the error? Invalid arguments. Did I change SFTP connection ID? Oh, so this is SFTP operator. We're going to use the SSH connectivity. SSH connectivity. Connection ID. Yeah, it's running. Okay, both success. So if you check this log, you can see yes, the connection authenticated, the file success. And if you go to the get the data, Okay, this is important. So yes, the connection verified, authentication password success, open the connection and marking task, and it's saying your execution started. Start date, end date, details means that get operation success. So now what is meaning? So there is a data here in my source, the input CSV. It will come to the Docker. This is Docker, right? This is my Airflow
Yeah.
Docker. If you check OPT Airflow, it's saying run
Mhm.
ID.